want you to take a moment and feel the power within you. Feel the strength of your ancestors, the wisdom of those who came before you, the fire that has carried us through centuries of struggle and triumph. You are not just here by chance. You are here by divine design. You are the manifestation of prayers whispered in the darkest nights. There is something extraordinary about us, something unshakable, something eternal. We have walked through fire and come out shining like gold. We have been bent but never broken, pushed down but never defeated, because we do not walk alone. We never have. God has always been with us, in us, around us. In our rhythm, in our voices, in the way we love, in the way we rise, we are not just near to God, we are a reflection of His power, His grace, and His limitless strength. Today, I want to remind you of who you are. I want to remind you that you were born with something sacred inside of you, something unbreakable, something divine, and it's time to stand in that power, time to own that light, time to rise into everything you were created to be. Black people have always carried an undeniable strength, a power that is not just physical, but deeply spiritual. It is a power rooted in resilience, in survival, in faith. We are a people who have endured unimaginable trials, yet we rise, not just because we are strong, but because we are connected to something greater than ourselves. The story of Blackness is a story of faith, of overcoming, of divine purpose. We are not just walking through this world by accident. We are here with intention, carrying the light of those who came before us. From the ancient kingdoms of Africa, where wisdom and innovation flourished, to the plantations where our ancestors sang songs of hope, to the movements that shook the foundations of injustice, we have always been guided by a force greater than oppression. We have always been near to God. Our prayers, our voices, our hands lifted in praise. These are not just rituals. They are the very heartbeat of our existence, the rhythm that has carried us through the storms of history. Faith has always been our foundation. When the world told us we were nothing, we found power in knowing that God said otherwise. When chains tried to bind our bodies, our spirits remained free. When doors were shut, we built our own. That is the power of a people who know they walk with God. That is the power of a people who understand that they are not just surviving, they are fulfilling a destiny. And it is not just about faith in a higher power, it is about faith in ourselves. Because when God created us, He did not make a mistake. He did not place us here to be small, to dim our light, to shrink ourselves for the comfort of others. He made us bold, brilliant, and beautiful. He gave us rhythm in our souls, fire in our hearts, and wisdom in our minds. He gave us the ability to turn pain into poetry, struggle into strength, sorrow into song. But with that gift comes a responsibility to walk in our power, to believe in our greatness, to lift each other up instead of tearing each other down, because the enemy of progress is division, and we are too powerful to be divided. We must love ourselves as God loves us. We must see each other as reflections of His greatness. The world has tried to define us, limit us, break us, but we are unbreakable. We have proven it time and time again, and now, more than ever, we must remember who we are. We must step into our purpose, knowing that we are not just near to God, we are His living testimony. Every time we rise, every time we succeed, every time we love, we are showing the world what it means to be chosen, to be powerful, to be divine. It is time to walk boldly in that truth. It is time to rise. Black people have always carried the weight of history with grace. Through centuries of trials and triumphs, we have walked with dignity, with resilience, and with an unshakable faith that has kept us moving forward. We are a people who have endured struggle but have never been defeated. From the moment our ancestors walked the great lands of Africa, building civilizations that shaped the world, to the present day where we continue to break barriers, we have always been destined for greatness. Long before the world tried to define us, we were already divine. We were kings and queens, scholars and warriors, architects of knowledge and guardians of wisdom. The pyramids of Egypt, the libraries of Timbuktu, the thriving empires of Mali and Ghana all stand as a testament to the brilliance that has always been within us. Our history did not begin with struggle. It began with power, with leadership, with a connection to the divine that was woven into every aspect of our existence. Then came the storm, the forced displacement, the chains, the attempt to break our spirits. But even in the darkest of times, we did not lose our connection to God. On the ships that crossed the Atlantic, in the fields where our ancestors labored, in the churches where they found refuge, they carried faith like a torch, refusing to let the fire die. They sang spirituals that were more than just songs. They knew that no matter what the world tried to strip away, they could not be separated from the presence of God. This faith was passed down through generations, shaping freedom fighters, preachers, and revolutionaries who stood on the front lines of change. Harriet Tubman, who led her people to freedom, moved by a divine voice guiding her every step. Martin Luther King Jr., who dreamed of justice and equality, preached words that echoed with the power of prophecy. Malcolm X, who called us to reclaim our identity and strength, stood firm in the knowledge that we are greater than the limitations placed upon us. They were not just leaders, they were vessels of a divine mission, walking in purpose, guided by something higher. Today, we continue that legacy. We are still rising, still breaking barriers, still proving that we are more than what history has tried to make us. The Spirit of God still walks with us, still speaks through us, still moves within us. We are not just surviving, we are thriving, excelling, creating, and inspiring. We are stepping into our power, knowing that we were never meant to be small. So we must walk with our heads high, with love for one another, with faith that the same God who carried our ancestors through the storm is still with us today. We are the evidence of His greatness. We are the reflection of His power. And we are here to shine, to lead, and to remind the world that we are and always have been near to God. Faith has always been the foundation of our survival, the unshakable force that has carried us through every hardship. From the moment our ancestors were torn from their homelands, forced into bondage, and made to endure unimaginable suffering, they turned to something greater than themselves. In the darkness of oppression, they found light in their prayers, in their songs, in their unwavering belief that God had not forsaken them. Even when the world tried to silence them, their voices rose in spirituals, in hymns. Through every trial, every injustice, every burden placed upon us, we have never walked alone. Our faith has been our armor, our guide, our strength. It has been woven into the fabric of our communities, passed down from generation to generation, in the churches where we found sanctuary, in the homes where we gathered in secret to worship, in the marches where we demanded justice. We have always carried God with us. And that faith has not only sustained us, it has empowered us. It has given us the courage to rise, to push forward, to break barriers and defy expectations. We have turned pain into purpose, struggle into strength. We have fought not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come, knowing that God has placed greatness within us. Today, that same faith lives in us. It reminds us that we are more than conquerors, that we are chosen, that we are divine. We are not just near to God, we are reflections of His power. And as long as we believe, as long as we hold on to that truth, there is nothing we cannot overcome. Love is the highest frequency, the most powerful force in existence. And Black people have always known how to love despite oppression. Through centuries of struggle, we have not only survived, but we have loved, uplifted, and healed one another in ways that only a people deeply connected to something divine can. Even in the face of hatred, we have chosen love, not as weakness, but as resistance, as strength, as the force that binds us together. From the mother who cradled her child, through the pain of injustice, to the communities that stood together when the world tried to tear them apart. Love has always been our greatest weapon. It is in the way we care for one another, the way we pour into each other's spirits, the way we protect, nurture, and empower our people. Love is what kept us going when everything else tried to break us. This love is not just emotional, it is revolutionary. It has fueled movements, inspired leaders, and given us the power to create change. It is why we march, why we fight, why we demand justice, not just for ourselves, but for those who will come after us. Love is what makes us unstoppable because it reminds us that we are not alone, that we are connected, that we are divine. No matter what we have endured, love has been our foundation, our guide, our purpose. It is the essence of our strength, the heartbeat of our resilience. And as long as we continue to love ourselves, love one another, and move in the power of that love, there is nothing that can stand in our way. You were created with divine intention. You are not small. You are not ordinary. You are powerful beyond measure. From the moment you took your first breath, there was something sacred placed inside you, something unbreakable, something unstoppable. You are not here by accident. You are here by design. Every step you take, every dream you carry, every vision placed in your heart is a part of something greater than you can imagine. Too often, the world tries to convince us that we are less than, that we should shrink ourselves to fit into spaces never meant to contain us. But I am here to remind you that you were never meant to be small. You were created to shine, to lead, to inspire. You are a vessel of greatness, a reflection of God's power, and the manifestation of prayers spoken long before you arrived. The world may try to limit you, but God has already set you free. Free to dream beyond the barriers placed before you. Free to walk in your purpose without apology. Free to create, to love, to build, to leave a legacy that cannot be erased. When you understand that you are co-creating with God, you realize that nothing is impossible. Every gift within you is a seed waiting to flourish. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to rise. So step boldly into your power. Love yourself fiercely. Honor the light within you, because you are not just living, you are fulfilling a divine mission. And when you fully embrace who you are, the world cannot help but take notice. You were made for more. You were made to shine. God did not bring you this far to leave you. Every challenge you faced, every storm you've endured, every obstacle that tried to stand in your way, it was never meant to break you. It was meant to shape you, to strengthen you, to remind you of who you are. You are not here by mistake, and you are not alone. The same God who carried your ancestors through struggle, the same God who whispered strength into those who came before you, is the same God who whispered strength into those who came before you. Is the same God who whispered strength into those who came before you, is the same God who whispered strength into those who came before you, is the same God who whispered strength into those who came before you, is the same God who whispered strength into those who came before you, is the same God who whispered strength into those who came. You are standing on the shoulders of giants. Their prayers paved the way for your journey. Their sacrifices made room for your success. You are not just here to exist. You are here to make an impact, to continue the work of those who refuse to be silenced. You are here to step into greatness, to break the chains of limitation, to rise higher than even you imagine possible.